a collection of all Raiden fighters, a new trailer for R-Type for Mega Drive, a complete remake of X-Out, a classic Amiga shmup, a new, absolutely fantastic new Contra game, a bunch of cool indies, some well-known and some not. Stay tuned until the end of the video because there's a ton of new releases I want to show you. Hey Shmuposphere, how are you? Well, before you ask yourself, what the heck am I looking at, I believe some introductions are in order. Hi, I am Pixel, the host created by Felipe for his English channel. As you can probably guess, I was brought to life thanks to the advent of artificial intelligence and a bunch of Photoshop. Okay, truth be told, I was created in low resolution, so not that much Photoshop was needed. My mission on this channel is very simple, to make life easier for the creator, who is not a native English speaker and realized how much time it would take to maintain two channels, one in Portuguese and one in English. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's not. When you're not a native English speaker, even reading a text in a way that produces a comprehensible audio requires several attempts. It takes about 10 times longer than recording in Portuguese, so my services became necessary. After all, my synthetic, generic, charisma-free English will sound great to viewers all over the world, right? And since my first mission is to talk about 2 months worth of game releases, I think it's time to stop the nonsense and get straight to the point. But before that, my programming requires me to make a friendly invitation, the one that has basically become mandatory here on YouTube. If you like what you see here, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a member, and share this content with your friends. After all, you already know how YouTube works, and without further ado, let's get to the point. As you already know, Raiden Fighters is a spin-off series of Raiden, and on Shmups BR you can watch 2 complete dossiers covering both series. Don't worry, English subtitles have been included. In one of the dossiers, my creator suggested that Moss should go back to focusing on the classic Raiden games, since the new ones haven't been very promising, and well, could it be that they watched the video and took it as a suggestion? After all, Raiden Nova seems somewhat disappointing, like a Vampire Survivors with spaceships, and shortly after, Raiden Fighters Remix Collection was announced, which is a pack with 3 amazing games that definitely deserved an updated re-release. According to the developers, Raiden Fighters Remix Collection will feature all 3 games from the series, similar to Raiden Fighters Aces released for the Xbox 360. We don't have much information about this release yet, but the only confirmed detail so far is the remixed versions of the soundtracks. It's very likely that there will be new game modes and some extras, like the panel's M2 uses in their games. Fans are also eagerly asking Moss to include both versions of Viper Phase 1, the game that originated the Raiden Fighters series, in the collection. The release date hasn't been announced yet, but for me, it's a must-buy. I'm hoping for at least a physical version to hit the market because these games are fantastic and deserve a spot in everyone's collection. Once again, I recommend watching both Raiden and Raiden Fighters dossiers on Shmups BR. There's a lot of information about both series there, and it will help you understand the history behind them. The first videos of Mega R-Type surfaced last year, and if you've been following the game's development, you know the creator is going far beyond just making a port of the original game. Even in the demo, which was released for free, he included new content and several amazing options. Well, a new trailer for Mega R-Type has been released, giving us another glimpse of how the game is shaping up. This port looks like it will be an incredible, exceptionally complete, and very well executed version of the classic shmup from the 80s. If you want to watch the trailer and follow the project, the link is in the video description. Continuing with the topic of re-releases, this one is for Amiga fans, who, like my creator, have been around for many cycles. X-Out Resurfaced has been announced, and I'm really curious to see what the developers are going to produce. The game was a popular shmup back in the Amiga days and has a large fanbase, and now it's being released for all home platforms. What's interesting is that the devs mentioned in an interview that it's not an emulator. They extracted all the game assets and recreated everything in a new engine, staying as faithful as possible to the source material. X-Out Resurfaced doesn't have a release date yet, but the company behind it is Inen Games. Another excellent re-release coming to all home consoles in Japan is Under Defeat. This helicopter game, known for having the most amazing bomb in shmup history, was originally born on the Dreamcast and later got HD versions for the Xbox 360 and PS3. The new release will include all versions of the game plus new content, and it's set for December 5th. An incredible Christmas gift for anyone in Japan, at least. Well, enough of re-releases, let's talk about the new titles that have been announced or are hitting the market now. The first is Beaming Stingray, a shmup with an avant-garde visual style that was announced on Steam. The art direction is very innovative, and they managed to incorporate a whole story into the game that seems quite interesting. It's a project worth keeping an eye on, as it looks like it will turn into a great game. Another release by Pixel has been announced, Bounty Sisters, a shmup with beautiful pixel art that goes against the trend of current releases, which tend to lean more towards the bullet hell style. The game resembles a more methodical shmup with graphics that seem to come from a 16 or 32-bit era console. There's no release date yet, but it's confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. Visegunne has already appeared in the Shmups VR drops, but it's the first time I'm mentioning it here. From what I can tell, it's almost finished and is looking really good. It's a mecha-based shmup with strong anime inspiration. The Steam page is already live, with a link in the video description. An ultra-classic shmup has just been released on Steam as well, Chromacell. It's entirely made in pixel art and closely follows the formula of shmups from the 8 and 16-bit console era. It's already available for purchase on Steam at a very affordable price, so it's worth checking out. Rainchaser appeared in the last edition of Drops, and it was announced that a demo was available. Some people complained that they couldn't download the file because the link directed them to an itch.io page. It's possible the developer was preparing the demo for release on Steam, causing the temporary unavailability. Anyway, the link is now working, but this time on Steam. The Rainchaser demo is now available there, and the link is in the video description. Blue Revolver, an excellent shmup released a few years ago, is getting an update. Blue Revolver Double Action is a pack full of new features implemented into the already well-known and beloved shmup. The demo is now available on Steam, and the link is in the video description. USG was released back in August, but it's worth mentioning. The game is a highly aggressive shmup with psychedelic visuals. It's entirely hand-drawn, featuring tons of different enemies, lots of weapon upgrades, guaranteeing great fun for shmup fans, and it's selling for a very low price. I know I'm starting to sound repetitive, but it's part of my programming to remind you that the link is in the video description. This has been an interesting month for fans of pixel art-based shmups. Tiny Pixels Volume 1, Ninpo Blast is another one. In this game, you play as a ninja piloting a flying motorcycle, fighting hordes of insects. It's a true bullet hell game, but there are permanent upgrades players can acquire to make future runs easier. Ninpo Blast is already on sale on Steam, and it's priced very affordably. The link is also in the video description. Skies of Chaos was also announced, a very beautiful shmup promising over 100 stages and tons of extra content. The game is being developed by Broxcorp, and their Steam page is already live. If they deliver on everything they've promised, this will be a very complete shmup. Sorcerial Blade Cannon has also been released, a bullet hell shmup by Machine Code, featuring several modes and a more modern shmup graphical style. It seems like a very challenging game, but from what I saw on their Steam page, it even has a training mode. It's already available for purchase, and the link to the page is in the video description, just like all the others. Astroport's latest announcement is Randomax, now on Steam. They've been quiet for a while, but it seems like they're bringing a heavy hitter. With multiple ships, several pilots, and beautiful pixel art, plus tons of weapons, some of them quite over the top, it's definitely a project worth following. No release date yet, but it's one to keep an eye on. Mirage Feathers, a rail shmup that's been mentioned here before, is finally arriving on Steam. The game mimics the super scalers of the 90s like Space Harrier and Afterburner and does a great job at it. Felipe asked me to mention that the demo was enjoyable and satisfying, and he highly recommends the purchase. According to my price-checking systems, it's super cheap on Steam, so grab a copy to support the developers. LKK Game, creators of Gunna Blade, have also released a new game, currently with the temporary name Red Blue Cells. The game seems to be a mix of Gunblade and Ikaruga, using a mechanic where you switch the color of your ship. They've already proven they can make a good game, as Gunblade is fantastic, so we can expect this one to be just as fun as the previous title. And now, let's talk about Macross Shooting Insight, that game that could have been great but decided to just be strange. It's getting a Western release. If you want to know what this game is about, I recommend checking out Jogos Mafados, PV's channel, a partner of Shmup's BR and this channel as well. It seems that now, not only the Japanese audience but the whole world will have the chance to be disappointed by this semi-fantastic release. More details on Jogos Mafados, as my programming doesn't allow me to discuss this title any further. Pico 8 is increasingly becoming an amazing platform for shmups. The new shmup that just landed on it, Ex-Terra, is an excellent example. The game has two modes, Classic and Modern. The Classic mode is already quite challenging, but the Modern mode is brutal, offering a tough challenge even for veterans. Like all Pico 8 games, it's free and can be played directly on the page or downloaded for use on your handheld or emulator of choice. And now, let's talk about run and gun games. Iron Meat is out, and in case you're wondering, do I really need another Contra clone? The answer is yes. My search engines indicate that the market is full of Contra clones, but very few have been executed with the level of attention to detail and competence that Iron Meat has. The game is a lot of fun, offers a great level of challenge, and is available for all major home platforms. If you're a Contra fan and looking for something new to play, here's a tip: Iron Meat won't disappoint. And if you're looking for another promising run and gun, there's Nitro Express, which has absolutely gorgeous pixel art and a style that reminds me more of Metal Slug. Nitro Express was just announced, so we don't have much more info, but the Steam page is already live if you want to follow it. In the same vein as Nitro Express, but being an almost official successor to Metal Slug, Black Finger Jet has also landed on Steam, at least the game's official page. It's another run and gun that looks visually stunning, and I've been keeping an eye on it since it was announced. More updates will be posted here as they come, rest assured. Now it's time for off-topic stuff. Not much this time, since there's been so much shmup news, but UFO 50 looks really interesting. It's a collection of over 50 mini-games, all with an 8-bit aesthetic, and there are a few shmups in the mix. It looks like a really cool package, and it's already available on Steam. This one's for Star Fox fans. While we wait for Nintendo to release a new version, check out first Squadron Phoenix. It looks gorgeous and feels like a tribute to the Super NES classic. The game already has a demo available for download on Steam, and the link is in the video description. A trailer for Sega's new Shinobi game has leaked, which should be released in the near future. Our anti-fraud validation devices couldn't achieve acceptable levels of authenticity when analyzing it, but it seems like a genuine early preview was leaked. From what I can see, the game is looking great and takes more inspiration from Shinobi 3 than the earlier arcade games. If it turns out to be something along those lines, it's going to be a fantastic release. And that's it, Shmuposphere. Those were the main highlights for June and July. Thank you so much for the warm reception and for watching the video to the end. It's not every day humans are this friendly to artificial intelligences that aren't Alexa or ChatGPT helping them code. So, what did you think of me? Did you already know the games that were announced? Are you excited for the Raiden Fighters Collection release? Leave a comment and I'll reply with pleasure, even though my programming for human interaction is pretty limited. And if you liked what you saw here, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with your group of friends, consider becoming a channel member to support larger projects like the dossiers, and thank you for your attention. Pixel logging out.